Big Bird shows early that he's going to be active in the block string meta. He immediately presses back after blocking a crouch light punch, challenging to see if Punk was going to commit to another light, and even if Punk does, the reward from that range is not very significant. Big Bird also uses crouch medium kick after his own light. Lights are minus on block, but the ability to chain them as well as special cancel creates moments of hesitation that can be taken advantage of with bigger buttons. Off that hit, we see Rashid's great corner carry, and off this tech throw here shortly, some beautiful spacing from Big Bird to whiff punish the roundhouse. This heavy version of Cyclone roll is +1 on block, so Big Bird most likely caught Punk throwing or pressing a light button. Now after this tech, it's back to the light meta decisions. We see Punk make Big Bird block another light from further away, and waits for Big Bird to press back so he could punish, but instead Big Bird recognizes that pressing back here would whiff, and waits. Now something to keep in mind here is when you parry the first hit of multi-hitting moves like Arabian Cyclone, punishing can get a little weird. Heavies lose and mediums trade at best, so the DI was a way to absorb the remaining 2 hits and get a clean punish. After that, we get a side switch from Punk to prioritize screen position and putting his opponent in the corner. Here, throw is a smart option after a -3 move. You can punish, but the person doing the move is most likely going to block, so you take advantage with a grab. Throw is powerful in the corner as well because of ODDP's side switch if they jump out. Now as Punk gets a bit closer for the first block light, he immediately chains it to try to catch Big Bird being aggressive. After blocking the crouch medium kick, Punk looks to land a well-spaced dive kick, expecting Big Bird to back off a bit, but Big Bird walks back for just a moment, visually confirming what Punk is expecting. He then walks forward and the dive kick ends up landing at a very punishable range. Big Bird is then willing to use his drive gauge for corner carry and pressure. Punk tries to press, but Big Bird keeps the string tight. Punk bounces back by blocking crouch heavy punch and then afterwards walking in and out of that same range to bait Big Bird and punish with sweep. Dive kick follows, and it's great against burnout because they are almost always going to be safe or plus. To end the first round, Punk snipes the button timing perfectly. Big Bird begins with another feint movement, slightly moving forward at the beginning of the round, which draws out the jab from Punk. Big Bird attempts to take advantage of the whiff button by drive rushing in afterwards, using crouch light kick because it's fast and could catch Punk walking back if the whiff punish didn't connect. The subsequent throw bait doesn't work and the scramble results in a trade combo. Punk whiffs jab and then waits for a moment to dive kick. Opponents pressing crouch medium kick at that range is highly likely, and dive kick would punish counter the recovery. Big Bird ends up defending, but the willingness to block the dive kick and the respect shown for dive kick being able to avoid ground buttons plays big roles in the matchup. This throw after the overhead is another throw in a -3 situation. Big Bird stays patient and finds the whiff punish, and then Punk wakes up with OD dive kick for the first of many times across their EVO sets. This dive kick still hit high enough to be negative on block, so Punk challenges with ODDP. Punk plays patient here as he looks to build back some drive meter. Big Bird stays aggressive, and this crouch light punch into micro raw extend medium punch is an example of the options mentioned earlier that happened because of the light attack chain respect. Now playing off of the situations earlier where Punk threw Big Bird after -3 moves, Punk now tries to throw bait Big Bird in another situation where he is negative. Very strong discipline to not bite. A couple whiff punishes go awry, which leads to a sweep punish for Big Bird, who is able to find a successful throw bait of his own to end the round. Both players begin the round patiently, and when Punk sees the whirlwind, he attempts to parry it. Noticing it whiffs, he cancels in a drive rush to try to take advantage of that empty space, but Big Bird checks. He rides the momentum to the corner and goes with a plus frame tick throw, then goes back to the throw, but Punk once again answers with wake up OD dive kick, an option especially powerful in the corner due to the side switch. Punk tries to bait something on wake up, but after nothing happens, he still finds a wild normal single hit confirm. He then tries to bait something out again, and this time Big Bird takes advantage and wakes up with sky high to escape the corner. This fourth light whiffing is what usually happens when chaining lights, but because people are aware of that and try to take their turn after the third light, a fourth light can sometimes successfully counterpoke. This does carry a risk of getting whiff punish if the opponent does a slightly delayed normal. Punk looks for a jump after getting hit, which catches people off guard often, but Big Bird was ready and follows up with a drive rush overhead open up. Punk has a tremendous block here as Big Bird fakes the safe jump and goes low. Big Bird then waits for a moment after the light string and does crouch heavy punch. This could hit Cammy out of dive kick and also punish a press back. But what Punk does is just walk and block, leaving him closer, which makes the punish easier and more consistent. Punk once again looks to bait something out on Oki and gets a clean whiff punish in a CA to burn Big Bird out. There hasn't been a lot of AAs against the dive kick, and Punk uses it here after the CA. This dive kick could also beat the heavy spin mixer if done too late. Punk looks to continue his pressure and tries to dive kick again, but comes up just a bit short, allowing an opportunity for Big Bird. But unfortunately, Big Bird does not get the Yasar he was looking for after the backdash, an issue that ends up costing him the game. Both players start the round with patience, poking and prodding, trying to bait something out from the other, till we see Punk go back to the whiff jab dive kick, but Big Bird still doesn't reach and punishes cleanly. Now Big Bird looks to establish throw, betting that Punk will block it out while also building a lot of bar towards Yasar. Eventually, we see a delayed crouch medium punch from Big Bird that ends up getting back thrown by Punk. This is a result of Big Bird trying to pinpoint the delay tech timing of Punk while also protecting himself from wake up options. Benefits of delay techs are if the opponent goes for an immediate meaty, you can block. If they go for an immediate throw, you could tech. Sniping this timing as an attacker is a key part in opening up players who use this strat. If you delay your button, then you could hit delay techs. But the timing has variance to it, and sometimes like here, if the button is delayed a little too long, it can be thrown. Starting with block and delaying your button as an attacker also has the benefit of protection from wake up reversals and doesn't leave you susceptible to wake up lows like shimmies do. This wake up walk forward crouch medium kick from Big Bird means with this much of a lead, he's willing to risk keeping the aggression up. Here, Big Bird successfully counters the delay tech timing previously discussed to win the round. One thing to note early is the post stand heavy kick decisions. This normal is -3, so it is a probable spot to parry after. Big Bird may have moved up to scheme on a throw to punish, while Punk decides to gamble on a jab and is successful, but Big Bird has started to catch on to Punk's timing after a spaced out light and tags him. Yasar is set up and Punk blocks out the first leg of it and parries on wake up because due to the tornado being meaty, there's no threat of throw. And his post tornado tech timing ended up throwing another normal attempt from Big Bird. Punk looks for back-to-back stand heavy punches here, encouraged from his turnstile after stand heavy kick before, but is interrupted as Big Bird adjusts. Punk uses stand heavy kick here again and buffers with crouch light punch in case Big Bird presses a button. Most likely, Big Bird would have to press a medium or heavy to reach Cammy, and thus the light punch could counter poke as a faster option. Punk also backs up now after this situation. Big Bird had counter hit him last time in this scenario, so Punk switched and gets a whiff punish. Both were disciplined about taking their turn here, and Punk is able to tick throw. This shimmy after the empty jump from Punk though was immaculate, and I have expanded upon this moment in another video, but in short, Punk held back on doing the ODDP on the jump out, and instead chose to shimmy on the ground to put Big Bird into burnout. Big Bird, however, plays extremely well while in burnout, checking dashes multiple times, first for this combo helping buy time for drive meter, and this one on block as well where he retreats after the triple light sequence and ends up perfectly spaced out to punish Punk's dive kick. I love the charge whirlwind follow-up because it's something Punk is forced to deal with and lets burnout deplete while also providing the air current for Big Bird to go into enhanced mixer as soon as he gets his meter back. Punk uses drive reversal to avoid the plus frames and then immediately challenges after jab to snipe Big Bird walking. Both players are careful with their spacing as we see jab from both sides when they approach in case the opponent walks forward. Big Bird gets things started with the drive rush crouch light kick, an extremely quick option that has multiple benefits. The crouch light kick is only 5 frames, it also hits low which can catch people trying to walk away from the DR, sets up plus frames for a shimmy, and it also acts as a frame trap and a stand medium punch on block and combo on hit, granting a strong reward either way. Punk blocks out a lot of what happens next. With it being round 3 and having only a 1-game lead, Punk is very low risk in his defense here as to not give Big Bird a big hit towards momentum to tie the set. Now here, Big Bird tries to bait out a tech after multiple throws. Punk is once again patient, tries a jab, and then a slightly delayed jump that does not get AA'd. Up until this point, almost all of Punk's slightly delayed jumps after a normal have been dive kick. How quickly the dive kick can come out means if you're not granting a lot of focus to stopping it, then most likely your anti-air will be too late. And part of Punk being so dangerous on this character is the fact dealing with him on the ground demands so much focus that it's hard to allocate headspace to things like stopping dive kick. So Big Bird ends up blocking and backdashing the throw, which is the likely option here since people look to back throw into the corner often. Big Bird finds an opportunity to back up and throw Yasar, but Punk walks forward just a bit, and as Big Bird dashes in a stand medium punch, Punk is able to throw him out of it. If he stays where he's at, the throw is not in range. Standing at that space was wild precision. However, he still doesn't escape Yasar entirely, and playing off the success of the previous defensive throw, Big Bird baits out a tech. Now recall how defensive Punk was early in the round, blocking things out, taking throws. Here he uses the context of those decisions to flip the script and reversal out of another attempted throw from Big Bird. Remember, throws were the way Big Bird was finding damage during that stint of blocking from Punk, and it's understandable why Big Bird committed to grab. If the DP is blocked, then Punk loses the game, so the less risky option is to take the throw. Big Bird opts for that exact option here, and then after the whiff button, we see Punk jump, and once again there is no anti-air. This goes back to the dive kick conditioning and the focus the ground game demands. From this spacing, you have to be so quick with your anti-air to beat dive kick. Parrying also runs the risk of a potential empty jump in the throw, and this is where I realized that at pretty much every range Punk has jumped at, OD Mixer actually completely misses a regular jump, so trying to use that to beat a dive kick that might not come carries heavy risk, making every jump at that spacing a mix-up. So Big Bird blocks and attempts to escape afterward, either with backdash or jump, and eats the jab. Punk had already committed to throw, and the pushback from the jab hitting instead of blocking pushed him out of range. This allows Big Bird to get within a sliver of winning. Punk reacts to the overhead for an amazing clutch block and gets a chance to play. He throws out the sweep here because it's only -6 against burnout, and from that range, Rashid isn't going to have a punish on block. He then walks up and does meaty crouch heavy punch, which beats Big Bird betting on jump or backdash to beat a grab attempt. Of course, throw being the most likely thing to do here because Big Bird won't lose from that damage alone, but Punk stays one step ahead and ends up countering the counter, a very frequently occurring mind game at top level. Big Bird presses his advantage off the jab and uses stay medium punch, which is plus on block. Punk responds with a delayed jab timing, delayed to protect himself from immediate follow-up pressure. Whirlwind is used here, and once again Punk looks to parry in a drive rush if it ends up whiffing, and this time Punk is quick enough to start the drive rush while Big Bird is still recovering, beating Big Bird's attempted check. Next time this happens, Punk is again quick on the DR, and Big Bird blocks it out. After the drive rush stand heavy punch, it looks like Big Bird goes back to the backdash or jump and Punk shuts it down, then sets up his crouch medium punch so normal to snipe the timing of Big Bird. To follow up, he looks to bait out a reversal because he's been consistently going for meaty options. The delayed jab from Big Bird beats out the delayed pressure timing from Punk, but from here it was mostly checking each other's pressure, including a clutch trade from Punk, interrupting the crouch medium kick to maintain an advantage and continue pressuring to the victory. The first thing I wanted to make note of is that we've seen a fair amount of delayed stand heavy punch after block streams from Big Bird, and this is part of the reason why. The stand heavy punch has great range, but also a high enough hitbox to knock Punk out of dive kick. Punk backs up after the crouch light punch and takes advantage of the delay button from Big Bird with a sweep punish. This goes back to the mind games after blocking lights and the different decisions and moments of hesitation we discussed earlier. Successful throw bait from Punk, and he looks to switch to immediate throw on the next Oki, but one of Big Bird's wake up jumps finally works out. Punk is extremely good at spacing out his buttons and putting people into uncomfortable ranges where he finds timings to beat their attempts at offense even after negative normals like -3 stand medium punch here. This was important to note because just a few moments later it happens again, and this time Big Bird is able to snipe that timing and turn the momentum around, getting Yasar out and forcing a corner DI, a situation where Yasar would have actually broke up the level 1 or level 2 response and also beats return DI at most ranges and timings. Big Bird follows it up with a combo that takes Punk all the way down to true strike throw range. The meaty throw then beats Punk's attempt at wake up crouch medium kick to counter a potential walk back from Big Bird. The clinching round of winners finals at EVO was a masterclass in hyper awareness from Punk. How it all starts, of course, is the ground game, where Punk gets a whiff punish to begin the momentum. The way he sets up the whiff punish, though, is where the genius lies. Punk moved forward 4 different times before this whiff punish, all a very similar distance of advancement. But for the whiff punish itself, he moves forward just slightly less, and that time dedicated before to moving forward is dedicated now to moving back. Showing a continuous rhythm like this incentivizes button presses at certain ranges and timings. Catching on to that and then switching it up is the masterful setup we see here. Next, this first throw would beat any wake up 4-frame button, and throw is also a strong option here because if jumped out of, the OD DP keeps the corner. To follow, Punk displays an incredible level of understanding the game. In Season 2, combos starting from light attacks do less damage than Season 1, so what would have been a win before actually would have came up just short here. but Punk pulls back at the last moment, not canceling his attack because he also would have been in burnout if he used the drive rush cancel as planned. Then he doesn't just wait for his moment to strike, he creates it. The crouch medium kick actually builds the meter to be above the 3-bar threshold, granting not only a double drive rush combo, but another drive rush gambit if blocked. This was one of the many incredible moments from both Punk and Big Bird at EVO in one of the best Street Fighter 6 sets to date.